Hello and welcome back. It's Hooves of Doom, and I'm gonna do this is kind of a response to topic of the week, the Vince Venturella, and it's about Warhammer Quest Silver Tower. So if you're interested in more videos about people's reactions to Silver Tower, check out the link below, and check out Vince's video, and there should be a number of other videos linked there as well. So, man, oh man, oh man, am I excited for Silver Tower. As I mentioned yesterday, absolutely I am. It's an amazing kind of thing to me. I'm really looking forward to this game. I don't even care if I get to play it. Of course I want to, but it's been pre-ordered. I'm really excited. It's kind of right on the cusp, trying to get that pre-ordered, as fast as I could, because it comes with like the actual character card and stuff. I did it through Games Workshop, so I paid the full price. But it's gonna go to Colorado. Unfortunately, I can't really, since I'm packing all this stuff up, and I'm gonna do some packing after this video. Can't really afford to just have more boxes shipped here that I'll be shipping off in about a month's time. So that's going to my forwarding address in Colorado, and I guess I'll get to see the box in a month's time, and maybe play it in a few months' time. So that's a little bit depressing, but I do, I'm really looking forward to get my paws on it and take a look, or my hooves, I guess, and take a look at that box, because I think the game is going to be really, really cool. So I started, my gaming journey, I guess, with Hero Quest, and I have a couple expansions. Well, I have 4 or so expansions of Hero Quest. I played Battle Masters. I made videos on those. You can go check them out if that's of interest to you. And I have a great nostalgia for that period of my childhood, I guess, and getting involved with those kind of epic quest board games. And I never actually bought the original Warhammer Quest. I didn't know anything about Warhammer at the time. So I got into Warhammer a few years after that was released, and so I missed all that kind of golden age of Games Workshop board games, Advanced Hero Quest. A lot of the specialist games, kind of like the early versions, I never really got into them, even though I was actually playing Warhammer, I guess, by the time, with more time than others. But yeah, so I mean, it's always been on my wish list. I actually have it on my eBay wish list, and I hope to pick up the original Warhammer Quest game at some point. But that kind of brings me back to like the power of the name of this for me, because there was rumors of this Age of Sigmar board game for a little while, and I was excited about that. But the minute I knew it was a Warhammer Quest game, I'm in. So it's just adding that extra little touch to it, and it doesn't, it's of the same style as the original Warhammer Quest, but it's set in the Age of Sigmar world, so it's not like a Warhammer Quest, version 2 or something. It's kind of is, but it has a completely different look to it than the original. And so I don't really know, I know the other worked on room tiles and dungeon tiles, and you kind of go through, and this is the same type of principle. But I don't really know how many tiles were in the original game. I don't really know a lot of the specifics. Are the heroes relatively the same? Are they the equivalent of one another? I don't actually really know. I've watched a few of the videos. I've watched a few people kind of unbox it. The rules look interesting from what the Games Workshop Warhammer TV video has described, and going through and trying to figure out what abilities to use and try to uncover the 8 pieces of the name so you can go after the Gaunt Summoner. It kind of reminds me, there's a movie series in Canada called Cube, where they kind of wake up in this cube, and then every door they open, there's a door on all sides. And every door they open just opens to more cubes, and it's like this weird puzzle. and it doesn't really give any answers throughout the entire movie. And there's like a Cube 2 and all these spin-offs. But it reminds me of like that, because the heroes just wake up in the Silver Tower and they've got to, find their way out, or come after the main enemy of the tower, that crazy sorcerer. So, my initial impression just looking at the game, I'm not really sure how large of a game it really is. Looks like there's 8 tiles maybe, and they're double-sided. But like my vision of the floor plan for something like Hero Quest isn't that big of a board, but I always envision it being fairly substantial. But when you see maybe 4 or 5 rooms attached together, it looks smaller to me. And I'm, a lot of this I think I'm just going to have to get a good sense of actually playing the game. But my impression of it, just looking at it on the images that have been released by Games Workshop, it looks good. I'm not sure what the replay value of it will really be. They're certainly marketing it as a very replayable game. They're doing a lot of support for it for different heroes through like an app that will be released. I've heard, although I haven't actually seen it confirmed, that there's going to be expansions for it. If that's the case, that'd be fantastic, because I really think more tiles, more adventures, that I'll be very definitely interested in. But as it looks right now, I think it looks really cool. It looks a little bit more in depth than some of the other board games that they've released, like the Betrayal Calth up there, and they've released 2 or 3 other games in the last year or two. Those look good. I mean, I've watched videos of them. They seem to play good. People enjoy themselves. I'm not sure it's the type of game that you're going to want to play every week, or even play several times. Maybe because it was just 10 years old, but when I played Hero Quest, I played through Hero Quest a lot of times, and then we went and made our own maps and so on and so forth. So I'm interested to see if this will stand up. It doesn't need to match the same level of interest or the same scale. I mean, I don't think I will ever recreate the nostalgia that I envision in my mind when I think of Hero Quest. I don't think it will ever match that, but it will be close enough, I hope, that it will certainly get me excited. So I guess the other thing with that is, will it be the same on-ramp? For me, I don't really know. I think I would think, the success of Hero Quest because it was widely distributed by Milton Bradley. So like, I never had to go into like a comic book shop or a gaming store to buy Hero Quest. It was kind of at a hobby store, but it sold like Lego and other materials for other hobbies. More kind of like mainstream kind of environment. They did puzzles and things like that, and the board games were like Scrabble, Monopoly, and then alongside that was Hero Quest. And I don't know if I would have encountered that if it wasn't in that environment, because I never really got into like Magic and stuff for several years later. Probably because I guess Magic might not even have been out at the time. War was pretty new. But so like, yeah, I mean, my stumble into Warhammer was very random in that regard, because I just walked into the store, kind of knew about it, I saw someone play it, and I got into it. But I didn't have any friends, and that played the game, and that's kind of unusual. Most people have that on-ramp, people they know. I would say the complexity of Silver Tower, from the little I know of the rules, looks a little bit more complex than Hero Quest. So, I mean, I don't know what the target market age is. I don't know if it really matters, because there's a whole lot of people my age that played Hero Quest that are going to go out and buy this box, and maybe that's their target market. But I do think that it's, I hope it's an on-ramp. I hope all these new games and these really pretty decent value box sets will help the hobby, and certainly provide a lot of motivation for new players, and draw new people into the hobby. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about were just the models, because this is like the quintessential Age of Sigmar game. I think putting it into the Age of Sigmar world was something that they've probably been working on clearly for a while. But I mean, a lot of us were anticipating this and really wanting that. There was a video, a topic of the week a while back about the new Specialist games. When that was announced in like November, December, I guess December. And then it was like, what Specialist games did you like? Which ones would you like to see? And my response, I like Battlefield Gothic and all these other ones, but I wanted to see something in Age of Sigmar, something that draws in the new and really is rooted in this new world. And so we got it, and I'm really excited by the look of the new models, the new looks of like the new elves. I do think that they look like the one that's more of a dark elf does look like there's roots there to the Dark Eldar in 40k. I do have some Dark Eldar for 40k, and so I'm fine with that. I actually think the crossover elements of the look of models is a good thing. The more bits, both in terms of 40k people buying these bits and incorporating into their models, but I think Age of Sigmar players as well could look to the 40k range and incorporate bits. Something that hasn't really been talked too much about. But I actually really like them. I think that they're really interesting and intriguing, far more than I would have thought for just like a regular elf mage of the traditional world. Now, some people are going to disagree with that. That's fine. They have the new dwarf in there. The new Dwarden Fire Slayer. He looks pretty cool. The new Stormcast Eternal model in there, which looks really awesome. The Barbarian model is clearly really cool. And what I love about that is that he's a Chaos guy. I mean, he's not like a devoted, he's kind of like a Chaos Undivided, I guess. But what I love about that is that the old Hero Quest game, the Barbarian in that was, if you read like his fluff, or not that detailed, but it actually suggests that he's from the Northern Wastes. And if you watch my video on Hero Quest and so on, you'll realize that Hero Quest, even though it doesn't really state it too explicitly, you have to really look for the details, but it is a Warhammer game. It takes place in the Warhammer old world, and so when they say Northern Wastes, that to me would mean some sort of Chaos Barbarian kind of history. I mean, when you think of the Chaos Wastes and who lives there, it's all these pretty barbarian types of tribes, and so he's definitely coming from that background, even though he might not be Khorne or Nurgle or Tzeentch or whatnot. So I think having that back in this game is cool. But there's other elements too, because you can use other heroes from Age of Sigmar in the game with the app. So that's going to be cool. But what I love is the actual enemies in it. So I'm a big Beastmen fan. Beastmen were my first main army for Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I don't own any of the Khornagors or Pestigors that were released in the early 2000s. But I love the models. I definitely want to pick some of those up at some point. What else is new? So the idea of having Zangors is really cool. And Slangors are, I'd love to see some of those at some point too. But they look great. I'm really thrilled with the idea of these kind of like bird beastmen. A little while ago, I guess it was October or September, Vince had on Warhammer Weekly Reef Beastmen, and I asked him then as part of the show about whether or not he would like Beastmen to have all these other animal aesthetics, because when you look back at the old Beastmen, they actually had I think a few models that were like half bird. They definitely had a lot that were like half wolf and half dog, which I think those are pretty cool as well. I'd love to see those come back. So this is right up exactly what I've been looking for a while. So I'm really excited about those. And the new acolytes, I can definitely see where people are kind of getting, like, they look like they're from like Egypt or something. They're very kind of Eastern in their appearance, and I think that they look really cool as well. And of course, they got a few other little weird elements in there, which is, I'm not, I don't know like where they're coming from. So you got like a couple of Skaven models, which, you know, fine. I mean, they're chaos now, but I'm not really sure what they have to do with the Silver Tower. So I'll be interested to kind of figure out why, you know, reading the fluff of the Silver Tower in the books or whatnot, why these are showing up. And then you got a bunch of scuttling grotlings or something. The spider tribe grots. Which again, I'm not really sure why they're in the Silver Tower necessarily, because they're destruction, presumably. But they look really cool. I'm actually rather thrilled with those too. So what I really like about what's been going on the past week is the expansion of these factions, right? So it came out with all these Grand Alliance books. They have these new factions, and some of them were pretty well fleshed out with existing models. Others are a little bit weak, right? They might only contain a couple models or a couple kits in this one faction, and they're a little bit on the weak side. The spiders in the destruction, that's one of the weak ones, right? Where you got like spider riders, and you got the Ragnarok, and you got the goblin hero on a giant spider, and that's really all you have. So what they needed were these weird infantry, and now they kind of have them. And they have like extra limbs, and they have like webs on their back or something. Really kind of cool. They're like this mutant goblin, as Tom pointed out in the Ragnarok box set. You can get the configuration with like you got the one with the catapult, and then you got the one with the shaman and the web, and that shaman is kind of like a weird mutant. He has like multiple eyes, kind of like a spider. So the fact that they're drawing upon that look for this new faction, I think is really going to be cool. I'm really interested where they're going to be going. Really going to be going with the new Age of Sigmar lines. So I'm converting all my fantasy models over to Age of Sigmar because I want to play with, you know, even if I play with a traditional looking faction, I want to play in Age of Sigmar. But I'm really, you know, and I really love the way that they looked before. It's not like I dislike that, but I'm really interested to see, I guess as a collector, like the one half of my collection's fantasy battle, the other half would be Age of Sigmar, even though I'm using both in the same game. I'm liking where that's going. So some of the recent picks, just to kind of add on to that, is like the Wanderer and Sylvaneth faction. Probably the Sylvaneth looks like they're getting a couple units as well, because they're one of those weak ones, right? Where you got Dryads and the Branch Wraith and the Tree Lord Ancient and the Tree Lord, and that's really it. There's no more Treekin, but they have these weird illustrations of these like half elf, half kind of like a dryad, I guess. They're like half tree, half elf. These are illustrations coming out of Warhammer Quest. So those have got to be released at some point. Plus there's a picture of Alariel on the giant, a stag beetle. That's what it looks like, at least. Which would be really cool. So I love the idea that all these little factions might just get one, maybe two releases. Kind of like the Cryptors just got, where they, the Cryptors didn't even get a new release. They just kind of repackaged something that already existed and created a brand new unit. And that capacity to, never mind having 14 armies or 13. If they do this, you're looking at like 30 or 40 different armies, because there's so many factions, right? There's 20 some factions in Chaos alone. So that's a lot of diversity. So yes, I am super thrilled for Warhammer Quest Silver Tower. Can't wait to get my paws on it and start playing around. And I'm really excited to see what Games Workshop is going to release next, because this is quite the roller coaster ride of a year. If you're in the Age of Sigmar camp, if you're not, it's the most, well, maybe it is a roller coaster ride, but it's the most horrifying one you've ever imagined. In my perspective, this is like the best roller coaster ride, and and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to come out. So thanks for tuning in, and have a good one.